Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
This is Lacey and Caitlin, and I'm Lacey. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Lacey.
And we're the women in the trailer industry.
Happy to be with you guys today.
Oh my god. All right.
Today we're going to be
making me nervous. Okay.
We're here to talk to you today about leadership. Wow, that's a big word, right?
Yeah, and that's a big thing to talk about. We want to talk about the important qualities that take leadership, ways to grow yourself, resources that you can use to grow yourself and to grow in leadership.
For sure. I mean, I think you hit them all. We can just get into detail on those. So for me, important qualities. So I think one thing to say first is to know your employees, right? Some things that are going to work for the trailer industry as far as leadership goes may not work for a different industry. So to keep that in mind, as you're setting out your leadership goals, leadership is a very general, I feel like, word that can be executed in several different ways.
Yes.
So,
and everyone's perception is different of it.
Exactly.
For me, my most important quality I find in someone is resourcefulness and an action taker amongst themselves. If they can figure out the answer, when I first started, there were two of us, and we for sure weren't going to ask our boss the questions. So we called our vendors, we called anybody we could call, we consulted Google, consulted books, and, figured out the answers that we were trying to find, and that grew us into the company we are today.
For real. And I think a big thing about that specifically is a lot of employees, I know I did at first, you get kind of nervous that if you are taking the initiative to do something to finish this project, or however you have to get from point A to point Z, right? Are you going to do something that you weren't supposed to do or be in trouble? So you feel this need to ask the question. And what I've found through you talking to me is, figure out what your solution is. Maybe not implement it, but that's what you bring to your boss as a solution, instead of saying, how do I do this? Or what would you like me to do in this situation? Because a lot of those things that come up, really in the grand scheme of things, are small details.
Yes.
And you're taking time out of your boss or your higher ups day to answer those questions, and most of those questions are answered several times a day, right? So there's probably somebody else you could ask that is doing the same kind of thing. Or, like you said, Google is your best friend. Figure it out, and don't be afraid, because you are trying to get your job done, so you're not going to be in trouble. Like I said, maybe not implement the solution you found, but that's what you bring to your boss, not the very beginning of it,
For sure. I think most leadership teams would like to see solutions more than problems.
Absolutely.
And then have to solve that problem for somebody. And that's definitely what I like to see in our employees, and what all of our employees are really good at is coming up with a solution, proposing that, and then going with that. In most industries and most companies, I'm not sure if you make the decision, if you'll get in trouble with that, but we try to let everybody have that free reign here and be creative and figure out how they want to do something, and then bring that to the table. So,
and working together too. Like I said, if you know somebody who's doing something similar than you, they've probably encountered whatever problem you're facing, and they may have found a solution for it that is a quick way to fix it right then. And so you'll remember that going forward. And it just saves a lot of people time, and it is a good, it's a good team building. I mean, you can't just work alone, right?
Yeah.
And
bouncing off that, you said working with people. I think brainstorming sessions and having a mentor, and maybe having a group of people you can just hash ideas around with. I think some of our best ideas came after hours, when we're just sitting, shooting the crap.
Yeah.
And we're like,
hey,
that's the most brilliant idea.
We could probably do it this way.
And see what happens. I definitely think getting that group of people, trying to find that group, even if it's not within your company, going outside of your company, growing yourself the entire time. If you're trying to make a career, not just an 8-to-5 job, that you can really grow yourself just by networking and finding those people and those mentors. So.
They really do say, like, people really do grow, and have some of the opportunities that they do through connections, through the people that they know, because it's just a door opener that you just don't know what is on the other side, but it's always potential, right? So not being afraid to kind of step out and build relations with people maybe that are outside of your specific industry. How could those stars align at one point to work with each other, you know?
Definitely. And it may not even be people you physically chat with. There's plenty of people I watch on social media and just books I read that I feel connected to that, you know, feel like they lead me in certain directions or give me insight that I didn't have before. And I credit most of what I've done to reading and growing myself. Yeah. So I think that people... You know, my advice was to read those books. If you want to grow yourself constantly, and then everything else will, you know, grow around you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm laughing because you would like come in and be like, Lacey, this book was good. You need to read it. I'm
Did you read it?
I'm ordering it right now. Still working on it. But yeah, I mean, those are things that if you are a reader and I don't like look into books very much, then you have good resources to hand me. And then vice versa, if I found some kind of research topic that I've been looking at, and then I can let you know about like different trends that are happening or, you know, different marketplaces we could get into or something like that. But, and also with that comes, I think in our previous episodes, we talked about how stinking busy we are, right? So when do you find time to do that, right?
At 11:30 at night.
I was going to mention that one suggestion would be, yeah. And when you have those times and maybe instead of scrolling social media, you're investing time into your own growth, into your own life, and it doesn't just have to be for work or success at work. It could be in like encouragement in your aspiring your whole life, you know. So
yes, and you know, with that being said, Audible is also your best friend. If you don't have a lot of time to read, but you have a commute to work or you have a lunch break, or even if you don't and you're sitting at your desk and you have the opportunity to listen to a book
or a podcast. Ding, ding, ding.
That's definitely a great avenue to go to help grow yourself.
For sure. I think some other good qualities are good, clear communication. How do you expect somebody to read your mind? And I feel like that gets overlooked a lot just by we're all busy, we're all going 90 miles an hour. We told you to do something, but we didn't explain how to do that, and maybe that person doesn't know. So good communication in the fact of this is what I need you to accomplish specifically. And so you know, your team knows, okay, I know what our goal is, but what are those tasks that need to be done to reach that goal?
And even, you know, in the eyes of the communicator, explaining how it's best for them to communicate to you. I know some employees, you know, want more communication. They say we're communicating and they want more, and we're like, okay, what is more? Because we feel like we are communicating. Yeah. So how can we communicate more effectively? And you know,
asking
that's the
those
next
questions.
Yeah. And yeah, just ask the employee how to communicate more effectively and what they need to know and what they need to see, and you know, try to work on that together. Nothing's ever going to be perfect for one person, but I'm working on that goal together and figuring that out.
For sure. Yeah. Another one that came to mind when I was thinking of this is leading by example. So, you know, we laugh a lot about how come the bad actions that happen sometimes, how come they're so much more contagious, it seems like, than the good ones? And maybe that's not true, but that's just kind of what, you know, as a team lead, you feel sometimes. And so I feel like what good thing we do in this company is there's not one thing that any of us would ask you to do that we haven't either already done ourselves or would do if we were asked to. So we're not going to ask you to do something that we wouldn't want to do, right? That's the kind of thing that I mean by leading by example. And maybe you are tired that day and you don't want to give it your all, but people are watching, right? Yeah. Especially they're watching the leadership team.
Definitely. And, you know, I feel self-talk is a big issue and it's a big topic these days, but self-talk's an important issue just because that's the most contagious thing.
Yes.
People hear you mumbling and grumbling about the issues you're having on your computer at work, and that's what's contagious, and then everybody starts doing it, and then it's really hard to stop that bad vibe because it's just contagious.
It
just
is,
catches
yeah.
on. So
And it's almost like you just need to have like a dance party or something to shake everybody out of it. Like, okay, guys, shit hits the fan, but we can figure it out, and it doesn't have to consume the rest of the week or whatever it may be that comes up.
Some resources that are good for growth and leadership. You know, one thing we did as a group the other day was Predictive Index, and basically it was a personality test, and it's not an end-all be-all, but it really helped us learn about each other. So I definitely suggest using something with your group or with your community that can identify strengths and weaknesses of each member.
For sure.
And so that they can understand that about each other, because I do feel some of us, and mostly all of us, have gained a lot of insight from that and learned how to communicate a little better. And so we just keep building on that. And
not just that, but to know about yourself, right? Because I thought I was one way, and it turned out that I responded to different things. So just to know, number one, about yourself, so you know what you require from others to be, you know, successful. And then how do you react to those people? Knowing what they need from you. So
yes, and reaction, while you say that, reaction's also a big topic. There's things that happened within the past week, and I'm like, they're not even big deals, but it was just the way that it happened in my head and reactions to that. And, you know, that really makes a lot of difference. You know, control your mind, and you can control a lot of outcomes for yourself, because, you know, your reaction is ultimately how everyone else sees it. So
yeah, just remembering to be slow to react, right? Take a minute. What does it really mean? Yeah. How should this really affect you? Another thing that I was thinking about too is, along those same lines, is to relate to everybody. So not just knowing what they need, but putting yourself in their shoes, right? So what is a job they do? What are you requiring them to do? How do they perceive their job? Putting yourself in their place so that you know how to efficiently ask them, and for the team as a whole to reach the goals that they've set for themselves as that team goal. So that's really important. Also, delegating efficiently.
yes,
This is a big one. We feel like a lot of the times we have so much that we have to get done, right? So we say, like, to the team, we need this done. But learning how to tell this group, this is the task that needs to be done, and this group, this is the task that needs to be done, and then at the end, it's all going to domino together, and it's going to reach us this specific end point.
Yes.
And it's just really important to think about it that way, to know how to delegate, so you're not just in a gray area fog of we're all just scrambling to try to get this done.
For sure. And definitely delegate to people's strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
Some people are better on the phone. Some people are better with data, with Excel, with all kinds of things. So
some people, if you put them on the phone, are not going to thrive at all because they're not confident in that. Whereas, just like what you said, they're going to thrive being behind the computer, behind the scenes. I know for me, for one, that's where I live, is behind the computer. Like, I don't want to be talking to you on the phone. I will, because I'll do it all. But
shout out to the sales reps who do it every day.
Shout out for sure.
They are troopers. They deal with the customer service issues. They deal with, disgruntled customers.
They try to find the stuff that
we,
what is that? I will try to find it for you.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I will try to find it. And so everything that could be thrown their way, they're having to deal with it in real time, right? So they can't just be like,
we can't
we'll
just
call
think
you
about
back.
it. Yeah.
We kind of get an out in that, because this is our problem. We can think about it and decide how we're going to fix that problem. They got to do it on the fly. So they're rock stars for sure.
Yep. Well, to recap all of this, we just want to help you grow, help us grow. Read your books, find a mentor, find a membership group, find a mastermind group, talk to your employees, talk to your coworkers, figure out how to improve yourself.
Encourage your team to find solutions, to think for themselves, and then bring it to the table.
And always just elevate each other.
Yes.
I mean, there's just no sense in putting each other down. And
you can't lose if you're always encouraging each other, because you're always going to be open-minded to finding that solution, whatever that might be, and you're not going to be upset about it.
For sure.
Yeah. So everybody gets frustrated, but choose the most important times to let that really come out in a constructive way, not in a bashing kind of way.
Yeah. Well, that is all we have for you today. So,
thank you guys for your time. We enjoyed being with you.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
You got this, ladies.